We're doing a test broadcast of the scripture reading and an explanation of it in advance of the actual worship this coming Sunday, which is January 1, 2023, which will be Epiphany Sunday. Now, Epiphany in a religious context usually means a manifestation or an appearance, especially of a divine being. And with a capital E, Epiphany specifically refers to January 6th. That's the celebration of the coming of the Magi to visit Jesus. And this Epiphany Sunday this year is the first Sunday before January 6th is January 1. So now you know why we're telling the story of Matthew 2, verses 1 to 12, the story of the Magi and their journey to Jerusalem, Bethlehem. They came, we believe, from somewhere in Babylon, which is present-day Iraq/Iran, following that new star for about 1,000 miles, which would take about a year on foot in a caravan. Now, we've all heard the song, We Three Kings, right? Well, there's a couple of historical problems with that song. First, they weren't kings, but rather they were magi or astrologers, we believe, of the king's court in Babylon. And we don't know if there were 3 or 4 or 14 for that matter. We just know that there were 3 gifts. Historians have also suggested that they would have had to have undertaken that substantial journey with a huge caravan. I mean, like an armed military escort. Because, see, they'd need to guard against those very expensive gifts they were bringing. That is, guard against robbers on the route, on the desert floor. Now, one estimate I read suggested that that entourage could have numbered as many as 300. So just imagine the intimidating impact that must have had when they first arrived at Jerusalem and knocked on Herod's door. By the way, I've heard it suggested that the reason they were called wise men is because, unlike most men in all of history, they stopped and asked for directions. Joking aside, when they continued to Bethlehem, which is about 3 to 5 miles, actually, 5 miles south of Jerusalem, they found Jesus, who by that point was almost 2 years old, living in a house, not staying in a stable, in Jerusalem. So that's the setting of the scene that we hear the story as it was written in Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. And here's how it was written there. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi came east to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw its star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all of Jerusalem with him. When he'd called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. And they replied, "In Bethlehem, in Judea, for this is what the prophet has written, quote, 'But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people, Israel.'" End quote. Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them exactly the time the star had appeared. He then sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. And on coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother, Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. And they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts